today's topic. So we made a video a couple of weeks back, you know, talking about how black people can also be.
Excuse me. It's all systemic. So black people cannot be racist.
Here's the thing, right? And so when we made that video, so many people got mad, and they're like, "No, we don't have the institutional power, etc., etc." And I had one girl drop in my DMs one time. She got super upset. Who told you can make this kind of statement? There are sociologists who've studied this stuff, who've done the work and done the research. And yes, and there's other sociologists who disagree with them. Here's the thing. I don't understand what's so complicated about what we said. Based off the Webster Dictionary, which is the definition that most people operated on for a long time, that it includes prejudice. It includes, right? And the definition is pretty simple. All this systemic and institutional power that you guys are talking about, that's come afterwards. And it's not a definition that's been acknowledged by most people. I don't understand why the idea of individual racism is such a foreign concept to people. If racism couldn't happen on an individual level, why would you invent terms like institutional racism and systemic racism to differentiate the different forms of racism? You put those prefixes because you understand that there are different manifestations of that thing, right? And so we can't look at this and be like, oh, this definition doesn't make sense. Why would you guys use this, and act oblivious to why people don't subscribe to this university type definition, when in reality, most people have never subscribed to that. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I don't understand what the point of that dialogue is. One can acknowledge that the dominant society has more abilities to be impactful with their racism, and also recognize that individuals from a less dominant society can also be racist. It's like, you know, I wouldn't go up to a white person who's grieving over the lost one and I ask, how did they die? And the person's like, well, it was a hate crime. The racist black guy cut off his head and then strung it around and said, I hate white people. And he's a racist, he's foul. I wouldn't be like, well, actually, he's just prejudiced. Like, what's the point of adding that to the conversation? You can acknowledge that certain groups are better at it and also still say it's the same sport. You know what I'm saying? It's like when I watch basketball in Thailand, I don't go like, that's not basketball just because black people can do it much better. It's still the same sport.
Everybody knows Pee-wee hockey and hockey.
You know what I'm saying?
It's just
you ever seen Thailand basketball? Okay, they're trying.
I mean,
God bless them. You know what I mean? Shout out to my Filipinos. You know what I mean? I respect you guys.
But
it's still the same sport.
I wouldn't diss them in Thai boxing.
That's it,
because
man.
they murking there.
Remember that video of the Asian guy who was getting beaten up by black people? And they're like, we hate Asians. And they were beating him up and they were throwing stuff at him.
It's prejudice.
And then people were like, oh my God, that's... And then a whole bunch of black people came out and was like, actually, what we're looking at is a manifestation of white supremacy, because the reality of black people is that black people cannot be... For when you live in systems of inequality, there is no way for you to engage in equal type of action. Brother, this is just a reaction to the Asian people being bad to black people. Fight the power. This is Abba, Zaba, Zulu, Kane.
Get the fuck out.
Good morning, nigga says, nigga says.
Don't get your hotep ass out of here. Get the fuck out of here. No, black people cannot be.
Yeah, it's just like
Their cannot be effective.
Yeah.
Therefore, it does not exist.
it's like saying a woman can't be violent against a man because women are physically less strong. These kind of arguments are bad.
It's not because they're less effective at it that they cannot, slap the shit out of you.
Exactly. So one can acknowledge the reality of systemic racism. One can acknowledge institutional racism. You can acknowledge all these aspects and also recognize that even though you're a minority and you have less power, you can still engage in that behavior on a smaller scale. Still the same word. And it just, I don't know, it just seems very disingenuous and seems very slimy to come into a conversation where someone suffered a hate crime and be like, yeah, it was just prejudice. I don't know. If someone who's a minority says white people are inferior, they're disgusting, and their pigmentation is an abomination, and black folks are the superior race. That's the textbook definition of race. And I know this to be true because right now there are activists trying to change the dictionary definition to include the institutional and the systemic aspect. So if they didn't acknowledge that this definition exists and that's the most used one, they wouldn't try to change the dictionary. So it just, whenever I see this talk, it's not conducive to good dialogue. What did you want to say about this whole black people can't be?
Oh, it's a possibility. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
okay, it's not gonna permit you to have a better job, but it's still there. It's still, the act is there. It's not as effective, but it's still there. Black people can be very. I was having this conversation with someone about this thing exactly, and that person was like, "No, black people cannot be." Yes, they can. No, because whenever they hate white people because not because they feel superior to them, and if they do, it's mental issues. I headed out. I'm like, I'm out.
You want to hear something funny?
Go ahead.
You know how they always say like police is a institution?
Yeah.
And that police officers are a reflection of that institution?
Yeah.
What do they always say about black cops?
They're the same. They're part of the institution.
Or they're oftentimes worse than the white counterparts.
Yes, absolutely.
So when those black cops are enforcing that institution, are they engaging in prejudice?
To me, it's just I'm trying to keep your job.
But that's their argument. That's they're saying. That's what they say.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, would you look at Uncle Ruckus and saying he's being prejudiced when he's doing?
He hates black people.
He thinks they're inferior.
He thinks they're inferior.
It's just prejudice.
Yeah.
You can internalize, but you can't externalize it. I don't know, man. It's just, to me, just...
C'est comme les gens, ils s'entendent pas parler.
Yeah.
They don't hear themselves talk out loud. It's like, when you say stuff like that, say it out loud. Just repeat it a few times. You know what I mean?
And then sometimes Americans will get off and they'll be like, well, you know what? You're not from here, so you don't... What, do you guys think that only existed in America?
But it is.
Do you think that slavery's only existed in America?
It's American made.
Do you not realize
made
that...
in the USA.
Do you not realize that there's still slaves in parts of Africa right now? Look at Libya. You guys don't have a monopoly on what it looks like. You don't have a monopoly on the definition.
No, but they're the best at it.
I don't know. It's just, when I hear this stuff, I'm like, ugh. And just, ugh. This is not an excuse. We're not caping for white folks. It's just, when I'm having a discussion and someone stops to be like, when you're discussing these hate crimes, just understand it's prejudice. I'm like,
first, you're not helping anything to the conversation. You're not adding anything. It doesn't make the situation evolve or the understanding of what's going on. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just a, it's like when you were watching pop-up videos. It's like, I don't care if the sound man went out with the sister of their lead singer. I don't care. That's what you're doing. Boop. Oh, did you know that? I don't give a You're not helping the conversation. It doesn't go further. It doesn't do anything. You're just stalling the conversation, and it's mental masturbation that you're doing. Look, I know. Get out of here.
And if you look at the definition of prejudice in the dictionary, it's included in the definition of.
Yes.
So, I don't know. So anyways, that's all our thoughts. Hopefully we never have to cover this topic again. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below.
Well, we will, because people are not that smart.
Yo quiero mi morena, tan rico que se ve. Morena, mira como mueve. Mi morena, mira como goza. Mi morena, mira como toma. Yo quiero mi morena, tan rico que se ve.